I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you what I don't like. That brother getting death threats, his family getting death threats, that's not right. Caucasian nation, when y'all unalive one of us, y'all tell us to be quiet, sit still, and let justice run its course.
The Metcalf family just took the case to a whole new level, not in a courtroom over guilt or innocence, but straight into civil court with a financial target in sight. In a move that's shocked both legal experts and the general public, Austin Metcalf's family has officially filed a civil lawsuit against Karmelo Anthony's parents, citing emotional distress, public endangerment, and alleged indirect involvement in covering up the events tied to their son's stabbing. But it's not just the lawsuit that has people talking, it's the timing. Just weeks before the filing, Karmelo's parents reportedly closed on a $900,000 home in a private gated community. Not long after, neighbors spotted a fleet of new vehicles, including what appears to be a BMW X7, a matte black G-Wagon, and a fully loaded Tesla Model X. That level of spending raised more than just eyebrows. It raised questions. Let's hear your take. If your child was involved in a violent legal battle and you suddenly started buying million-dollar homes and brand new cars, would the world assume you were celebrating hiding money or just escaping stress? Celebrating early freedom, hiding assets, coping with pressure, just bad timing? For the Metcalf family, this wasn't just a coincidence. It was the final straw. Their legal team claims the purchases signal a gross lack of remorse, and possibly even an attempt to shift assets before any criminal ruling lands. And to make matters worse, leaked images of the luxury cars with temporary plates hit social media the day after the family filed. To many watching this unfold, the optics aren't just bad, like they're brutal. The civil lawsuit isn't just a sideshow to the criminal case, it's becoming a battlefield of its own. According to the official court documents filed this week, the Metcalf family is seeking damages for emotional trauma, public humiliation, and targeted harassment stemming from the events surrounding Austin Metcalf's stabbing. But what really stands out is the section alleging willful negligence and image laundering on the part of Karmelo's parents. Their argument? That Karmelo's parents used their wealth and public image to downplay the severity of the case, and that their recent luxury purchases were not just tone-deaf, but potentially part of a strategy to hide assets or rebrand the family's reputation before a verdict drops. And here's where it gets wild. Insiders close to the case revealed that the Metcalf family's attorneys had already requested a freeze on all major financial transactions involving Karmelo's immediate family 2 weeks prior to the home purchase. The request was denied, citing lack of standing, but that timing now looks extremely suspicious. Critics argue it shows Karmelo's family may have been trying to get ahead of legal trouble before it hit. Here's a question for you, the viewer. If you were on the jury, would a family's sudden wealth shift your view on a criminal case? Yes, it's suspicious behavior. No, their finances are separate. Depends on how involved they were in the case. Online sentiment is already turning. Hashtags like "had bought," "before the verdict," and "had justice" for Austin are trending, and TikTok sleuths have begun connecting the dots between the purchases, the lawsuit filing, and previous public appearances by Karmelo's parents, including a now viral clip where his mother allegedly brushes off a reporter's question with a laugh. As the Metcalf family's civil suit gains traction, legal experts are beginning to weigh in, and the consensus is split. On one hand, some attorneys argue that the civil suit is a strategic move to apply pressure ahead of any potential criminal ruling. Civil suits often operate on a lower burden of proof, meaning Karmelo's family could be found liable in civil court, even if he's not yet convicted in criminal court. That's happened before, think O.J. Simpson. And it's exactly what the Metcalfs appear to be aiming for, a legal win in the court of damages, if not the court of law. But others see it differently. They're calling it a distraction tactic. Some say the lawsuit is trying to capitalize on public outrage, turning emotional sympathy into financial gain. And the lavish spending? Critics say it's being weaponized to sway public opinion, not present a legitimate legal argument. Still, the optics continue to get worse for Karmelo's family. A new report just surfaced showing that the home was purchased in full, no mortgage. The closing documents, now circulating online, list a cash transfer made through a trust tied to the Anthony family. Financial analysts are questioning where the liquid funds came from, especially considering the legal fees this case is already generating. Do you believe the Metcalf family's civil suit is a justified push for accountability, a financial play, riding public sympathy, a smart legal strategy to expose deeper truths, all of the above? With each update, public opinion grows louder, and the court of public perception is a powerful force. The Metcalfs have already received an outpouring of donations and media support. Meanwhile, Karmelo's family, once quiet and low profile, is now being dissected under a magnifying glass. In the days following the civil suit announcement, things have only escalated, both in court and online. And now, the focus has turned to Karmelo's parents' intentions, not just their finances. The Metcalf legal team dropped a bombshell in their most recent filing. They're alleging that Karmelo's parents may have indirectly funded aspects of his legal defense, using trust accounts and shell companies to route payments quietly behind the scenes. They argue this goes against public statements, where the family denied involvement, instead insisting Karmelo was handling things on his own. This accusation is powerful, not just legally, but psychologically. It reframes the lavish spending, the $900K house, the brand new fleet of cars, not as random purchases, but potentially as a strategic front to distance themselves publicly while pulling strings privately. In other words, the Metcalfs are saying, you're not bystanders, you're enablers. And the internet? It's eating it up. TikTok breakdowns of the alleged trust structures are going viral. Reddit threads are diving into public real estate records. Even mainstream outlets are starting to pick it up, no longer treating it as just a stabbing case, but a full-blown family scandal with legal and financial deception at the core. Question for the audience: if it's proven that Karmelo's parents funded his defense behind the scenes while publicly denying it, should they face criminal charges too? Yes, that's deception. No, they were protecting their son. Depends on where the money came from. The Metcalf team is also now calling for a forensic financial audit of all Anthony family assets from the past 6 months. If approved, this could uncover everything from hidden payments to backdoor legal maneuvers, and completely shift how this case is handled moving forward. As the pressure mounts, Karmelo's parents are starting to feel the heat, not just from the legal system, but from the court of public opinion. And now, with the demand for a forensic audit in play, their next move could determine whether they remain quiet bystanders or become active figures in this growing legal storm. Their legal counsel issued a brief statement earlier this morning, calling the lawsuit a baseless attempt to weaponize grief and condemning what they referred to as trial by social media. But the statement didn't address any of the specifics, not the $900K home, not the cars, and definitely not the alleged backdoor trust accounts. And that silence is creating more noise. Meanwhile, new footage has surfaced of Karmelo's parents attending a luxury auto auction just days before the purchases were made. The video, which shows them browsing vehicles while speaking with high-end dealers, has added another layer of controversy. Critics argue that this proves premeditated spending, suggesting they were not only emotionally detached from the case, but possibly preparing for a shift in lifestyle, or even relocation. Sound off in the comments. Do you think Karmelo's parents should be held accountable for their public actions, even if they aren't legally charged? Yes, public behavior influences the case. No, they're not on trial. Only if they're proven to be directly involved. The Metcalf legal team is leaning heavily into this angle, portraying the Anthony family not just as emotionally distant, but as strategically manipulative. They've even subpoenaed footage from a luxury dealership allegedly tied to the car purchases, hoping to prove pre-planning around the time Karmelo was first linked to the stabbing. As the lawsuit builds steam, it's becoming clear this isn't just about seeking damages. It's about tearing down the illusion that Karmelo acted alone, and showing that those closest to him may have helped build the smokescreen. The civil case is morphing into something far bigger than either side anticipated. And it's no longer just about what happened the night of the stabbing. It's about the lifestyle that followed, and what that lifestyle says about guilt, accountability, and privilege. In the latest update, court insiders have revealed that the Metcalf family's legal team plans to introduce social media activity from Karmelo's parents into the lawsuit. This includes now-deleted Instagram posts showing snippets of a new home tour, luxury car keys with captions like "finally here," and even a champagne toast in what appears to be the backyard of their new estate. Screenshots of those posts have gone viral, not just for their tone, but for the cold contrast they present. On one side, a family mourning the violent stabbing of their son. On the other, a family celebrating lavish upgrades in the middle of that very case. The court of public opinion sees one word: disrespect. And that sentiment is leaking into the courtroom. Legal experts now warn that if a jury is ever brought into the civil proceedings, optics could sway more than evidence. Civil trials are susceptible to emotion, tone, and public image. And right now, the Anthony family's image is being hammered daily by the media, online commentators, and even former allies. We'll ask you this: if you were sitting on the civil jury and saw the home, the cars, the deleted posts, would you feel that's relevant to the case? Absolutely. Shows mindset and motive. No, it's irrelevant to the incident. It depends on what role they actually played. There's also speculation that the Metcalf team is working on a documentary-style campaign to coincide with the civil suit. giving the public an inside look into their pain, the timeline of the case, and the behaviors of those involved. If true, this would only intensify the scrutiny and may sway any undecided public support. With every asset revealed, every photo leaked, and every silence held, the Anthony family loses more ground, not just in court, but in trust. Final segment 7. This lawsuit has become more than a legal dispute. It's now a symbolic fight for justice in a system where silence, money, and optics often speak louder than truth. At the heart of it all are two grieving families, but only one seems to be under a microscope. The Metcalf family, devastated by Austin's stabbing, claims they're not just fighting for accountability from Karmelo, but from the entire structure that enabled him, emotionally, financially, and socially. And they're now arguing that Karmelo's parents were not passive observers, but active participants in shaping a narrative, shielding their son and protecting their wealth. This isn't about blaming parents for their child's alleged actions. It's about calling out the decisions made after the fact, the celebratory tone of expensive purchases, the suspicious silence in public, and the timing of legal and financial maneuvers that hint at a cover-up. The Metcalfs argue that these are not coincidences, they are calculated. Meanwhile, the Anthony household remains tight-lipped. No new public statements, no interviews, just attorneys issuing brief denials while social media handles go dark. That silence might be legally strategic, but in the court of public opinion, it's being interpreted as guilt. And here's the twist. If the Metcalfs win this civil case, it could set a powerful legal precedent, holding family members financially accountable in situations where their involvement isn't direct, but circumstantially influential. It's a gray area, and that's what makes this case so explosive. Final thought for you. Should families be held liable when their wealth or silence contributes to shielding someone from consequences? Yes, money shouldn't erase justice. No, unless they directly broke the law. Depends on the case. As the civil case unfolds, one thing is clear. This isn't just about a stabbing anymore. It's about power, perception, and whether the truth can survive the storm of silence and luxury. Would you like a matching YouTube description and thumbnail prompt for this video?